Tir na Nog Awards 2020. Stormhound. Claire Fayers.
What's your name and how did you become an author?
Hello, my name is Claire Fayers. I live in Cardiff with my husband and two very annoying cats, and I have always loved making up stories. My first book was published after I won a writing competition, and I've been writing full-time ever since.
Tell us about your shortlisted Tir na Nog book.
This is Stormhound, which is my fourth book to be published, and unlike my other books, it's set in the real world, in a little Welsh town you might have heard of called Abergavenny. It is the great epic and serious tale of Storm of Odin, who is one of the hunting hounds belonging to the Norse god Odin. Now one night, Storm crash lands to Earth, and he finds that he is shrunk down to the size of a tiny little cute puppy, and nobody will take him seriously anymore. Even the sheep laugh at him. Now very soon though, Abergavenny is filling up with very strange people all talking about magic and looking for the great and mighty Stormhound. And meanwhile Storm has been adopted by a human family who have got problems of their own. So maybe, just maybe, they can help each other. This is Storm's story.
What did you enjoy most and least about writing this book?
Most of all, writing Stormhound, I enjoyed writing the character Storm himself. He is really great fun to write and he is a huge personality. My least favourite bit about writing the book was finishing it. And I know that most authors will probably say this, but the story actually meant a lot to me personally. I think I put a lot of myself into it and it was very hard to say goodbye at the end.
What was your favourite book as a child?
I have an awful lot of favourite childhood books, but one that has always stuck with me is this series by Enid Blyton of The Adventures of the Wishing Chair. I remember this one particularly because in my primary school we had a story time one year. And at the end of the day, we would all sit on cushions on the floor and the teacher would read us a chapter of a book. And we read the stories of the Wishing Chair together. And I always remember just sitting there listening to these wonderful adventures. And I loved the idea that you could get into a chair at home and the chair would just grow wings and fly you off to all sorts of magical lands. I loved the thought of going to magical lands. I think that's probably why I like fantasy now. So the Wishing Chair Adventures, if you haven't read them, have a look, they are great fun.
Do you prefer writing for children or adults, and why?
I've actually written for children and adults. In fact, I started off writing for adults. I used to write short stories for magazines before I became a children's author. But I really, really love writing children's books. The thing I love best is the scope that you have for imagination and creativity in children's books. You can break the rules and play with words and with ideas in a way that sometimes you can't do when you're writing for adults. And of course, when you're writing for children, you get to meet all the young readers and see them getting so enthusiastic about books, and that is really such a big privilege.
Where do you like to write?
My favourite place to write is actually right here in my office at home. I've got it kitted out with bookshelves and with my desk behind me, and there's a nice door out the garden so the cats can wander in and out. It's a really nice space to write in.
Do you have any advice for a budding writer?
My advice if you want to become a writer, first of all, write about the things you love, not the things that you think maybe you ought to write about. Whenever I'm planning a new story, I get myself a big sheet of paper and I'll just make a list of everything I think of that I think is fun, whether they'll fit together into a story or not. And then when I've got my list together, which could be about 40 or 50 different things, I'll start trying to match them up and seeing what I can put together to form an adventure. The other thing is to read a lot. Every time you're reading, you are seeing how other people are telling stories, and you're finding out the kind of stories that you like. So don't just stick to the authors that you know you like already. Try people you've never heard of, or try reading things like poetry or non-fiction. Try reading lots and lots of different things. Find out what you like and what you don't like. And then finally, don't give up. Writing is like anything else. You need to practice. And there will be some days when you might write things and really you think they're not very good. And if that's the case, you're in good company, because every author looks at their work every day and thinks that. So keep on writing. Every time you write, you are getting better. Your stories are getting better. So have fun, read lots, and don't give up.